So let's start heat and work transfer. Heat and work transfer. So see, in this heat and work transfer, first you understand heat and work, they both are path function. Already we have discussed in previous lectures. Heat and work, they both are path function. But in this chapter itself, I will teach you there is another type of work, and the name is flow work. And flow work is not path function; it is a point function. So that time I told you that there is a kind of work which is not path function. So that name is flow work. So I will explain this part, but we'll go one by one. So first of all, what is heat transfer? What is heat transfer? So see, there is a type of energy which flows only because of temperature difference. Then we say heat is transferring from one body to another body. Heat transfer can take place from one body to atmosphere, or atmosphere to the body, or one body to another body, or another body to another body, like this. So heat is nothing but a type of energy, and heat transfer means nothing but a special type of energy is being transferred. When this transfer is possible? This is possible only because of temperature difference. Okay. Other than that, if you have any type of transfer, that is going to be another type of energy. So if energy is transferring the boundary because of temperature difference, then it is going to be heat for sure. I heard a news long back around somewhere that some magazine were saying that when Columbia crash was there from NASA, that Kalpana Chawla crash. So I have forgot, I have little memory, I'm not sure this news. They said that there was a mistake in the newspaper next day. They said heat became this much Kelvin. Actually, heat is not temperature, and temperature is not heat. They both are entirely different thing. Heat is a energy which is being transferred because of temperature difference. Heat is not storable energy. You cannot store heat. Heat is always in transition across the boundary. Always heat will cross the boundary. You cannot store the heat. If you want to store the heat, you have to change the form of heat, then only you can store the heat. Okay. Now see, understand, whenever you have a body and if you are heating the body, then there is a possibility, mostly what happens, your temperature changes from one temperature to other temperature. So how much temperature is being changed and how much mass is inside? Just imagine, if you just want to boil 1 glass water and you want to boil a very huge tanker in truck, that much water you want to boil. So in this case, suppose your beginning temperature was 20 degrees Celsius and you want to boil this till 80 degrees Celsius. In this glass also, suppose in the beginning you had 20 degrees Celsius and you want to boil at 80 degrees Celsius. So you can definitely see that here you need huge amount of heat. Okay, so heat depends on two things: how much temperature difference you want and how much mass you have to heat up. Okay, and one more thing comes into picture. You want to heat something at constant pressure or at constant volume. Let's understand that part also. Suppose you have one piston here and you have another piston here. Suppose this piston is free to move up. You are heating this. Suppose the initial temperature was 20 and you want to heat this till 80 degrees Celsius. Here also initial temperature is 20 and you want to heat this up to 80 degrees Celsius. Now you supply heat, so this piston goes up. Here also you supply heat, then what will happen? I am saying that a special case, lock the piston here, because piston is locked. So whatever heat you will supply, that heat will quickly raise your temperature from 20 to 80. It means what? Here 20 to 80 you want to go, so you need to supply less heat, but here you want to supply more heat. Now see, why here you need more heat? Because when you supply the heat is a form of energy. So some energy will be waste to take piston up, because whenever there is any kind of displacement, work will be there. So work is also a form of energy. So one form of energy is entering. Some part of the energy is useful to take the work, to do the work. So piston is going up. Okay, the remaining energy is increasing the temperature. Suppose you are applying 100 joule and suppose 80 joule is taking the piston up, then remaining 20 joule only will rise the temperature. But here, when you supply 100 joule, piston is not going up, so your energy is not being wasted to do work. So all the energy is being used to raise the temperature. So that's why at constant volume you need less heat to change the temperature. And one thing, in both the systems I have kept same amount of mass, then only this logic will work. Okay, so see here, whenever you supply heat, we have this formula, Q is equal to ms delta T, or you say del T, or you have Q is equal to m Cp delta T, or you say del T. Q is equal to mCv del T. These are the three popular formulas. Other than this, you have Q is equal to ml. I will explain all the four. This formula, I mean all the three formulas you will use when your temperature is being changed. There is certain condition when you supply heat, but it will not change the temperature. It is possible actually. When you supply heat, but it will not change your temperature. That time it will change your phase. That time you will use this formula. So that time this heat gives a special name, and that name is latent heat. We have latent heat of fusion and latent heat of vaporization. So I will teach this part properly, but first you understand this part. When we supply heat and it makes temperature change. M is clear. M is nothing but how much mass you are heating. Del T is also clear. It is nothing but how much temperature difference you want to make. Now let's understand about S, Cp and Cv. Symbol S will be using when we'll be heating our solid objects. But Cp and Cv will be using when we'll be heating our fluid. So these two formulas are helpful for the fluid. Let's understand the physical meaning of Cp and Cv. Cp and Cv, they are nothing but Cp and Cv, they are nothing but specific heats. Specific heats. Let's have the physical meaning. Cp means it is nothing but Q by m delta T. Cv is also nothing but Q by m delta T. From this formula I have rearranged and I have got CpCv. Let's have physical feel. You can see in the formula we have heat, but how much heat? Per kg and per Kelvin change. You can see this formula. This Cv is nothing but it is a heat, but how much heat? Per kg and to change per Kelvin temperature. It means what? You got the definition. What is specific heat? Specific heat is nothing but heat only, but this heat is supplied to per kg mass to raise the temperature only by 1 Kelvin. For example, if you have some 1 kg mass and you want to change the temperature only by 1 Kelvin, so to perform this phenomena, how much heat is required? That heat you will say as specific heat. One more logic. In previous classes we have learnt whenever you have total quantity, and the total quantity when you divide by mass it becomes specific, correct? But specific heat if you are looking for, then you have to divide one more extra quantity, that del T. So in the formula of Q is equal to mCp or you say Cv del T, this part is known as specific heat, and specific heat is constant for different material. For air it is constant, for water is it constant, for every material, for every fluid it has their different values, and the values are constant. Okay, now understand. Here you have Cp and Cv. You see, if you understand the value of Cp, and if I'll ask the question, Cp will be more or Cv will be more for a given mass and same material, Cp will be more or Cv will be more? Can you guess it? Okay, Cp. Other? Cp? Logic? What is the concept? Why Cp will be more? What do you think? Why Cp will be more? But there is a logic. If you think, you can get the logic also. Because Cp means heat you are supplying at constant pressure. And just now in my previous example, I told you, whenever you will supply at constant pressure, you need more heat to raise the same temperature. But when your volume is constant, you can see here volume is constant, then you need less heat to raise the temperature. So you can see here, when you are supplying your heat at constant pressure, Cp, then you need less heat. But if you're supplying, at constant pressure, you need more heat, so Cp value is more. At constant volume, you need less heat, so that's why your Cv value is less. Means, suppose you have a chamber. In this you have any gas. Suppose this gas is H2 gas, and you have a chamber, same amount of gas, H2 gas, and here chamber is free to move, here chamber is lock. Means here your volume is constant, but here your pressure is constant. And suppose in the beginning both have 20 degrees Celsius temperature, and you want to raise the temperature to 80 degrees Celsius in both the cases. And suppose both the gases are 10 kg. Both the gases are 10 kg, 10 kg. In that case, you want to know that how much heat is required in this case, how much heat is required in this case. So what will you do? You will apply the formula Q is equal to M Cp del T for this case, and Q is equal to M Cv del T for this case. Now mass is given 10 kg, temperature change is given 60, because 20 to 80 is 60. Here temperature change is given 60. But problem is, Cp value and Cp value will be different for H2 gas. Okay, so Cp value and Cv value must be given in the question, then only you can solve this numerical. So just now we have discussed Cp will be more and Cv will be less. Cp will be more and Cv will be less. It means this heat will come more than this heat. So here you have to supply more heat to raise the temperature from 20 to 80. So now we will understand little bit more about Cp and Cv. Before that, we will understand the sign convention for heat transfer. I will change the page. See guys, suppose this is any machine. And as an engineer, whenever you design the machine, I am talking on average. Like in our basic lifestyle, whenever we design any machine, for what purpose we design a machine? So that the machine will give you work. To achieve this work, you have to supply something to the machine, either petrol or diesel or electricity or something that will produce. In my thermodynamics, we will be discussing only the heat transfer. So to achieve some work, you have to supply some kind of heat transfer. So when you are supplying the heat to the system, then you are getting work. So this is positive for us, this situation. But suppose by mistake you made a machine which is taking work from you and giving heat out, so this is negative for us. So you got 4 types of sign convention here. Heat supplied from surrounding to the system is positive, right? heat supplied from surrounding to system is positive. Just opposite, heat is coming out from system to surrounding, then it is negative. And just opposite for work. When system is doing work to the surrounding, it is positive. But when suppose machine itself is taking work, or you can say surrounding is doing work on the system, then it is negative work done. So this is the sign convention. Okay, see, as an engineer, when you design the machine, what is your expectation? Machine should give work, correct? So machine became your system, and you and nearby people became surrounding. So if work is being transferred from system to surrounding, it is good for us, right? Because for that purpose only we have designed the machine, so that we can get work from the machine. Machine should do work, system should do work. So when the work is coming out, we consider positive work, and the work when it is opposite, then we consider negative work. Clear? Yes, it is just a sign convention. And to achieve the work, you have to supply something. So if heat is being supplied, so you are supplying the heat for good purpose, na? So heat supply is also positive. But work supply is not positive. Heat you will supply, then you will get work. So this was the sign convention. So now see, there is something called heat, that is clear. There is something called specific heat, that is CPCV, that is also clear. There is something called latent heat and heat capacity. So let's understand latent heat, and then we'll understand heat capacity. So let me clear heat capacity first. Heat capacity is nothing but when you multiply Cp or Cv with the mass, then this total thing is called heat capacity. How will you feel this physically? Actually, if you target Cv, that is specific heat. In case of a specific heat, specific either Cp or Cv, this is nothing but the heat supplied to raise the unit Kelvin temperature for unit kg mass. This was your specific heat. But heat capacity is, you send this mass here, you send this mass here. It means what? I am talking now heat capacity. So heat capacity, we use capital C with P. These are small c's, okay? These are small c's. And capital C with V. Because we have multiplied mass now, means what? M into this Cv. I mean this Cp. And M into this Cv. This C is small c. So it is nothing but Q by del T. It is nothing but Q by del T, correct? So you can see here, your heat capacity is defined only for heat required to raise the temperature by 1 Kelvin. In this definition, we don't have idea about the mass. We don't have restriction of 1 kg mass. But here we have restriction. Heat supplied to raise the temperature 1 Kelvin, but for 1 kg mass. But here we don't have restriction for mass. So what is definition here? Heat required to raise the temperature only by 1 Kelvin. That's all. Whatever is mass does not matter. The total temperature should rise 1 Kelvin. Okay. Now let's understand what is latent heat. So to understand latent heat, we have to do some kind of example. So then only we can understand latent heat. So what is latent heat? Imagine you have ice, and this ice is at minus 20 degrees Celsius, and you are planning to heat the ice. We are going to understand latent heat. You supply heat the ice, then when you are heating the ice, then slowly temperature will increase, and the ice will reach to the 0 degree Celsius, and You can see here what is being changed. Temperature is being changed. Ice is not being changed. Ice is a solid object. You can say phase is not being changed. Again, don't stop your work. Again, keep heating. Again, supply the heat. When you again supply the heat, then what will happen? Then this ice will convert into water. But until and unless complete ice will not convert into complete water, temperature will not change. You can see here also 0 degrees Celsius, here also 0 degrees Celsius. Here your ice converted into water. It means phase change, but no temperature change. Now you see the magic of nature. This thing you cannot realize in real life. You cannot realize, you cannot feel this in real life, because in real life sometimes you know what happens. I keep my milk packet in my fridge. Reality I am speaking. Reality will not match with this. I keep my milk packet in fridge, in freezer section, and next morning it will be completely ice. And then I will take out and I will put this ice, this milk, iced milk, into my pan. And you know, the down part of the pan, when after some time, some ice will melt and that will start boil also, and some part will be ice, still ice. So in real life, this phenomena will not match what I am teaching. This is ideal condition. So until and unless complete ice will not convert into complete water, your temperature will not change. And once, so you can see here, as a human, whenever there is a heat supply, what we feel temperature should increase. As a human, whenever there is a heat supply, we feel that okay, whenever there is heat supply, temperature should increase. Temperature should increase or temperature should change. But you can see, if you touch the object, temperature is not being changed. So you will say, okay, then where is the heat is going? Where the heat is going? Where the heat is going, then you will get the answer, okay, whatever heat you are supplying, that is hidden. It is not changing the temperature. So hidden is having a synonym, that is latent. So that's why in this process, whatever heat you have supplied in the system, that is known as latent heat, and there is no temperature change. So you cannot apply Q is equal to ms delta T. Why? Because delta T is 0. So if you apply this formula, your heat will be 0. So that's why we have a separate formula for this. Q is equal to ml. Okay, so how much mass is there and what is L? L is latent heat. Whenever ice converts into water, you have a constant value of L. And then L value you should remember, I will give the PDF, already it is there in the PDF. And M value is the mass of the ice, how much mass you are melting. Suppose 10 kg ice you have taken in the beginning itself. Okay, now don't stop now. Keep supplying the heat, then what will happen? So right now this condition is known as fusion, because your ice is melting into the water. So this is latent heat of fusion. Now you do one thing. Again you supply heat. Then this water will be water, but the temperature will reach 100 degrees Celsius. So again here you have temperature change. So again you can see phase is not being changed. Water is liquid, liquid. Phase is not being changed. What is being changed? Temperature is being changed. So Q is equal to ml will not work here. What will work here? Temperature change formula. Q is equal to ms delta T. This will work here. Okay. Now again you supply heat. After this again you supply heat. Then this water which is at 100 degrees Celsius, that will convert into steam at 100 degrees Celsius. Until and unless complete water will not convert into steel, your temperature will not rise. So here again something is happening. What is happening? Your liquid is converting into gas. So this is vaporization. So here latent heat again coming into picture, but name will be latent heat of vaporization. So in case of water, whenever your heat is being changed, you have two types of heat. One is latent heat of fusion and one is latent heat of vaporization. So both the values are given in the PDF. Guys, are you getting this? What is happening here? Very good. Very good. All the story clear? Okay. Now see, uh, we'll talk about work transfer. This everything was about heat transfer. So, and you also have sometimes your solid will directly convert into gas. So those things we don't have to discuss here. That phenomena is known as sublimation. So that is not required here. I will change the page. See now. Now we will discuss work transfer. So first of all, before going to this, you discuss unit. So unit of heat transfer is nothing but joule, is nothing but calorie. Joule is your SI unit. Calorie is not SI unit. So now work transfer. Whenever we have work transfer, definitely you will be having displacement or size change, or there will be some kind of motion. Then you will say, okay, there is a work transfer. Try to understand. Already I have taught you there are three types of motion. Either object will go in linear motion, or it will rotate, or it will vibrate. In all the three cases, whenever you see these three cases, even though little bit displacement if you will see, there is a work transfer. Even though there is increment in size, there is work transfer. Okay. When you are boiling potato, that time you have to transfer the heat. So this heat will convert into work or not? Guys, try to reply. No, it will not convert into work. Why? Because size of the potato is not being changed. It means there is no displacement in the potato particles. I mean at macroscopic level I am talking. Of course at microscopic level potato is somewhat disturbed, but at macroscopic level there is no change. And already we have discussed sign convention now. So let's go deep into the work transfer, because work transfer is very, very important thing. So in advance I should tell you, there is PV diagram. On PV diagram, whenever you draw any curve, then area under the curve gives you work done. Sometimes you can find this area easily, sometimes the curve will be very difficult, so you cannot find the area. So area under PV diagram gives you work. Whenever you multiply pressure and volume, you get the unit of energy. So you can say you get the unit of work also, because work is nothing but energy only, one form of energy only. So let's talk about the meaning of reverse displacement work. The meaning of displacement work. See guys, suppose you have cylinder. In this you have piston, and from here you are supplying the heat. So what is happening? This piston is going up. So in the beginning you had certain volume V1 and you had certain pressure P1 and temperature T1. When you are supplying the heat, this heat is taking the piston up. So suppose you got the new location of the piston, so your volume changed, it became V2. So for this much shift, for this much displacement, you have got some work done. So how will you find out that work done? So that work done we used to find out by our basic fundamental formula. What is work? Work is nothing but force applied into displacement. Okay. So how will you count the force? Force is Okay, so see guys, when you are applying, so you got this much displacement. Suppose this displacement is x, and you also consider this area of this plate is a. So you know, work done formula is very easy formula, that is nothing but force into displacement. Actually, when I will be teaching you mechanics, that time I will teach you force into displacement is not the exact formula. Exact formula is F dot D, force dot displacement. Currently I am using force into displacement. This force formula is nothing but pressure into area, right? So I am considering this phenomena is happening at constant pressure. So whenever your piston is going, every time your pressure is constant. This we have already discussed in previous class. So pressure, if you multiply with the area, which area at which pressure is acting, okay, at this much area pressure is acting, then only piston is going up. So pressure into area. Now how much displacement is coming? This I am considering as x. So x. So see, area into height, I mean this much is the height of the cylinder here. So area into height gives you volume. So you can see pressure into volume. How much volume? This much volume. So that volume is nothing but total new volume minus old volume. So you can write P into V2 minus V1. So this became work done formula, which is popularly known as displacement work. Displacement work. And as you know, in different cases, so this the displacement work what you are getting, that you can write in the integral form, because see, this displacement what I am getting here, this I am solving for very small change, for very small change, but for a neat and clean diagram I have taken a very big change here. But actually the piston is sliding very less in amount. It means whenever from state 1 to state 2 there is any process involved, and in that process you want to find out your work, total work, then that is nothing but integration of P dV. It means your work done for the process 1 to 2, you have to do one thing, integrate the pressure with respect to volume. Okay, so this is your fundamental formula to find out work done. As you know, whenever you are changing one state to another state, you have to use any type of process, and in different types of process you have different things are constant: pressure constant, volume constant, temperature constant, adiabatic, polytropic. So because of these constants, your work done formula will be different for every process. So how to find out work done formula for every process? Now that is our next work. And keep in mind, we will start from the explanation of, so okay, first of all you keep in mind this formula is fundamental formula. This is not a ready-made formula for every process. It is a fundamental formula. By using these formulas, by using this formula, we will develop formula for different process, and those formulas you have to mug up final answers in GATE exam. Okay, so we will do this when we will be doing process properly. Currently we are going to understand there is something called free expansion.